God says, listen closely, because this is not a motivational phrase and it is not wishful thinking. It is a divine announcement meant for those who have endured silently, labored faithfully, and waited patiently while nothing seemed to change. God says 2026 will be the year you wake up rich overnight, and this richness will not begin in your bank account, it will begin in your spirit, because before heaven shifts what you hold in your hands, it transforms what you believe in your heart. You have spent years waking up tired, waking up worried, waking up wondering how you would make it through another day, another bill, another delay, another unanswered prayer. But God says there is coming a morning when your eyes will open and the weight that once pressed on your chest will be gone. The fear that once greeted you before your feet touched the floor will be replaced by peace, and the anxiety that followed you from room to room will lose its authority over your thoughts. God says you have been trained by hardship to expect struggle, but you are about to be retrained by grace to expect overflow. You thought wealth was only measured in numbers, but God says true riches start when you wake up with clarity instead of confusion, confidence instead of comparison, and purpose instead of panic. You've been rich in endurance, rich in patience, rich in perseverance, even when your circumstances looked empty. Heaven has been keeping record of every tear you wiped away in private, every prayer you whispered when no one was listening, every sacrifice you made while others misunderstood your silence. God says nothing was wasted, nothing was overlooked, and nothing was forgotten. There were nights you went to sleep disappointed, replaying conversations, missed opportunities, and broken promises. You asked God why it seemed like everyone else was moving forward while you were standing still. God says you were never standing still. You were being positioned. There were things that could not reach you until you were mature enough to steward them, disciplined enough to protect them, and humble enough to honor the source. God says if I had given it to you earlier, it would have destroyed you instead of developed you. So I delayed the blessing, not as punishment, but as protection. God says 2026 will shock you because what takes others years to build will come together for you in moments, not because you rushed, but because you waited. You thought the delay meant denial, but it was divine alignment. Doors will open that you did not knock on. Opportunities will appear that you did not chase, and favor will locate you without you announcing your need. God says this will confuse people who watched you struggle because they will not see the years of unseen preparation that preceded the sudden breakthrough. They will call it luck, coincidence, or overnight success, but you will know it was covenant fulfillment. God says there will be a morning when you wake up and realize your appetite has changed. You will no longer crave validation, approval, or applause. You will crave impact, meaning, and legacy. This is part of the wealth I am giving you. When you no longer beg for what you used to chase, you step into authority. God says you are about to wake up rich in wisdom, rich in discernment, rich in emotional stability, and rich in spiritual confidence. The kind of wealth that allows you to walk away from what once controlled you. You have survived seasons where you were underpaid, overlooked, undervalued, and underestimated. You stayed consistent when quitting would have been easier. You showed up when no one clapped. You sowed when the ground looked dry. God says 2026 is the harvest you could not see while you were planting in faith. You planted obedience when disobedience looked easier. You planted integrity when compromise promised quicker results. You planted kindness when bitterness felt justified. Now God says the soil is ready, and what you planted is about to rise faster than you imagined. God says do not be surprised when your mornings begin to feel lighter. The heaviness that once followed you will lift. You will wake up with ideas instead of dread, vision instead of fear, and expectation instead of regret. This is what waking up rich overnight looks like. It is waking up knowing you are no longer behind, no longer late, no longer missing out. God says you were never behind, you were being hidden while I worked on you. There were moments you doubted yourself because nothing around you reflected what God promised you. You questioned your calling, your worth, and your direction. God says those doubts did not disqualify you, they refined you. They forced you to lean on faith instead of feelings, truth instead of trends, and obedience instead of opinions. Now you are stepping into a season where what you believe aligns with what you see, and what you prayed for begins to manifest in ways you cannot explain logically. God says the wealth I'm releasing is not fragile. It will not disappear the moment pressure comes. It will not collapse under responsibility. It is built on wisdom learned through hardship. You will manage opportunities with maturity, finances with discipline, and influence with humility. God says, I am not just blessing you, I am trusting you. You are being entrusted with more because you proved faithful with little, even when little felt like nothing. God says, some people who walked away from you will try to return when they see the shift. Not everyone deserves access to the new version of you. You are not obligated to reopen doors I closed for your protection. Waking up rich overnight also means being rich enough to say no without guilt, to choose peace over chaos, and to walk away from drama without explanation. God says your boundaries are part of your blessing. There were times you felt invisible, like your efforts did not matter. You wondered if anyone noticed how hard you were trying. God says heaven noticed. Every seed you planted in secret is about to produce fruit in public. The recognition you stopped asking for will find you. The respect you thought you lost will be restored. God says, when I elevate you, I do it in a way that no one can deny it was my hand. God says, prepare your mindset, because what is coming requires a renewed way of thinking. Poverty was never just about money, it was about limitation, fear, and survival mode. You are stepping out of survival and into stewardship. You will no longer think in terms of barely enough, but more than enough. You will no longer make decisions based on fear of loss, but confidence in provision. God says abundance is not arrogance, it is alignment. There will be conversations in 2026 that change everything. One call, one message, one meeting will unlock doors you thought were permanently closed. God says stay ready, because preparation is what turns opportunity into breakthrough. Do not underestimate the small habits you are forming now. They are building the capacity needed for the sudden increase that is coming. You will not be overwhelmed because you are being strengthened now for what you will carry later. God says you will wake up one day and realize you no longer recognize the person you used to be. The fear that once defined you will be replaced by boldness. The insecurity that once held you back will be replaced by confidence. The doubt that once silenced you will be replaced by authority. This transformation will feel sudden to others, but it is the result of years of inner work, healing, and obedience. God says the wealth of peace I am giving you will be evident in how you respond to pressure. What once triggered you will no longer control you. What once distracted you will no longer tempt you. What once discouraged you will no longer define you. You will wake up rich in emotional strength, able to stand firm even when things are uncertain. This is the kind of wealth that cannot be taken from you. God says you are entering a season where your voice matters. People will listen because you speak from experience, not theory. Your story will inspire others who are still in the place you once were. You will realize that your pain was not pointless, it was preparation for purpose. God says, I am turning your testimony into influence and your influence into impact. Do not rush this season. Do not compare your process to someone else's highlight. God says what I am doing in you is custom made, uniquely designed for who you are and where you are going. You are not late, you are right on time. Every delay, every detour, every closed door was part of the plan to bring you to this moment where you can finally receive without fear. God says there will be a morning in 2026 when you wake up and realize you are no longer praying for survival, you are praying for direction. No longer asking for escape, but asking for expansion. No longer begging for relief, but asking for wisdom to steward the blessing. This shift in your prayers is a sign that you have entered a new level of trust and maturity. You will notice how things begin to line up effortlessly. The struggle that once drained will lose its grip. You will move with clarity, confidence, and calm assurance. God says this is what happens when alignment replaces anxiety. You will no longer chase what is meant to find you. You will no longer force what is meant to flow. You will simply walk in obedience and watch how doors open at the right time in the right way with the right people. God says, I am teaching you how to receive without guilt. You have spent so long giving, sacrificing, and pouring out that receiving feels uncomfortable, but you are allowed to enjoy the fruit of your labor. You are allowed to rest without explaining yourself. You are allowed to celebrate without apologizing. This is part of waking up rich overnight, understanding that you are worthy of what I am releasing. There will be moments when you look back and barely recognize the season you came from. You will remember the prayers you cried through, the nights you stayed up worrying, the days you questioned everything. God says you will see clearly that I was with you the entire time, guiding, protecting, and preparing you. The suddenness of the blessing will make sense when you realize how intentional the process was. God says stay grounded, stay grateful, and stay obedient. What is coming is not meant to isolate you, but to elevate your ability to bless others. You will have enough to share, enough to give, and enough to invest in things that matter. This is not about excess for ego, but abundance for purpose. You are being positioned as a resource, a light, and an example of what happens when faith meets persistence. As you move closer to this season, you may feel an urgency to let go of old habits, old relationships, and old mindsets. This is not loss, it is preparation. You cannot carry yesterday into tomorrow and expect to walk freely. God says, trust the release, because what I am giving you requires space. Make room for what is coming by releasing WH. It no longer serves your growth. There will be days when it still feels quiet, ordinary, and unchanged. Do not be discouraged by the silence. Seeds grow underground before they break the surface. God says what is happening now is deeper than what you can see. Trust the process even when the progress feels invisible. You are closer than you think, and the shift is already in motion. God says 2026 will not just change what you have, it will change how you see yourself. You will wake up knowing you are capable, chosen, and equipped. The confidence you carry will not be loud, but it will be unshakable. You will walk differently, speak differently, and decide differently because you finally understand who you are and whose you are. So keep showing up. Keep believing even when it feels uncomfortable. Keep trusting even when the evidence is delayed. God says the morning you wake up rich overnight will feel ordinary at first until you realize the fear is gone, the pressure is lifted, and the clarity is undeniable. You will sense that something has shifted, something irreversible, something powerful, and as you step into that day, you will begin to notice how everything that once felt heavy now feels aligned, how every step forward feels supported, and how the vision you carried quietly for so long is now beginning to take shape in front of you as you continue to walk in faith, obedience, and expectation, knowing that what is unfolding next will require you to move with courage, humility, and unwavering trust, because this is only the beginning of what God is unfolding in your life. As you step into the days ahead, where every choice you make, every door you walk through, and every opportunity you embrace will build upon the foundation that has been laid through years of patience, resilience, and belief. And as the momentum continues to grow, you will start to recognize that richness you woke up to was not an accident, but the result of divine timing aligning with your readiness. And in that realization, you will feel a stirring within you to rise, to move forward, and to step fully into the purpose that has been calling you quietly, but persistently, inviting you to trust deeper, believe bigger, and walk boldly into what is next without hesitation or fear as the journey continues to unfold. Because God says this next stretch of your life will demand a different posture than the one you used in survival mode. You will no longer be bent over by pressure, no longer shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant to contain you. You will stand upright, steady, aware of who you are and what you carry. The richness you are waking up to will teach you how to walk with intention instead of urgency. You will move slower, not because you lack momentum, but because you finally trust the direction you are headed. God says there will be moments when your old instincts try to resurface, moments when fear whispers that this is too good to last, that something must go wrong, that you should brace yourself for disappointment. But God says this time is different because you are different. You are not the same person who doubted every open door or sabotaged every good thing because it felt unfamiliar. You have been healed in ways you did not even realize you needed. The broken patterns are losing their grip, and the habits that once kept you stuck are being replaced with wisdom, patience, and self-control. You will notice that your conversations change. You will no longer spend hours explaining yourself, defending your choices, or convincing others of your worth. God says, when I elevate you internally, you stop needing external validation. You will speak with calm authority, and people will feel it before they understand it. Your presence will carry, not because you demand attention, but because you walk in alignment. This is part of the wealth I am giving you, the ability to be heard without shouting and respected without forcing. God says there will be people who feel uncomfortable around the new you, not because you became arrogant, but because your peace exposes their chaos. Your discipline will challenge their excuses. Your growth will highlight their stagnation. Do not shrink to make them comfortable. You are not responsible for managing other people's discomfort with your obedience. God says, I did not bring you this far for you to dim your light when it starts to shine. As the year unfolds, you will begin to recognize patterns breaking. Cycles that ran in your family for generations will end with you. Mindsets rooted in lack, fear, and limitation will lose their influence over your decisions. God says you are not just waking up rich for yourself, you are waking up rich for those who come after you. The courage you develop now will ripple into lives you may never meet, but heaven is watching how you choose differently. There will be days when the blessing feels quiet, not dramatic, not loud, not flashy. God says, do not underestimate consistency. Overnight does not always mean instant fireworks. Sometimes it means waking up one day and realizing you are no longer struggling in places that once defeated you. You are no longer anxious about what used to keep you awake. You are no longer afraid of the future because you trust the one who holds it. This is wealth that grows silently, steadily, and securely. God says, I am refining your vision so you can see beyond immediate gratification. You are learning to value sustainability over speed, impact over applause, and obedience over attention. This will protect you from shortcuts that look tempting but lead nowhere. You will not need to rush because what is meant for you will not pass you by. God says when you are aligned, you do not chase, you attract. You may feel a deep sense of responsibility rising within you, a desire to steward what you are receiving with care. This is not pressure, this is purpose awakening. God says you are capable of handling more because you have learned how to manage less with faith. You did not complain when resources were scarce. You did not quit when progress was slow. You kept going even when no one saw the point. Now you are ready for expansion. There will be moments when you pause and reflect on how far you have come, and gratitude will overwhelm you. Not just gratitude for what you have, but gratitude for what you survived. You will thank God for the closed doors that once broke your heart, for the delays that once frustrated you, for the endings that once felt like failure. God says you will see clearly that those moments were redirections, not rejections. God says your discernment will sharpen. You will sense when something is not aligned long before it becomes a problem. You will recognize opportunities that look good on the surface but are wrong for your assignment. This will save you time, energy, and heartache. Waking up rich overnight also means being rich in wisdom, knowing when to move and when to wait, when to speak and when to remain silent. There will be an ease in your decision-making that you have never experienced before, not because choices become simpler, but because your values are clearer. God says, when you know who you are, confusion loses its power. You will not be torn between options because you will recognize what aligns with your purpose. This clarity is a gift, and it will guide you through seasons of growth without overwhelming you. You may notice that you are drawn to solitude more than noise, reflection more than reaction. God says this is not isola, son. It is intimacy. I'm drawing you closer so you can hear me clearly above the distractions. The more you listen, the more confident you become. The more you trust, the less you fear. This connection is part of your wealth, a direct line of guidance that cannot be replicated by human advice. As things begin to shift externally, God says, guard your heart internally. Success can be just as dangerous as struggle if you are not grounded. Stay humble, stay teachable, stay aware of the source. You did not arrive here on your own strength. Remembering where you came from will keep you balanced as you step into where you are going. Gratitude will anchor you when momentum increases. There will be moments when you are tempted to explain your journey to people who were not there during the process. God says you do not owe anyone an explanation. Your life will speak for itself. The fruit will testify louder than your words ever could. Let results answer questions you no longer need to entertain. God says your generosity will increase, not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually. You will have more patience, more compassion, more understanding for others who are still in their process. You will remember how it felt to be unsure, afraid, and tired. This empathy will make you a safe place for others without draining you, because you are giving from overflow, not emptiness. You will experience a renewed sense of creativity. Ideas will come effortlessly, solutions will present themselves unexpectedly. God says, this is not coincidence, this is alignment. When your mind is no longer consumed by worry, it becomes free to create. When your heart is no longer heavy, it becomes open to inspiration. This creative flow is another sign that you have stepped into a new level. There will be moments when you feel stretched, when growth demands adjustment. God says, do not resist. The stretch. Expansion can feel uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Old limits cannot contain new blessings. You will learn how to manage increased responsibility without losing your peace. This balance will become one of your greatest strengths. God says the people who align with you in this season will feel different. They will not drain you, compete with you, or confuse you. They will sharpen you, support you, and celebrate you. Pay attention to who feels light to be around. Alignment reveals itself through peace. You are no longer meant to carry relationships that require constant effort just to survive. You may find yourself letting go of expectations you once placed on yourself. You will no longer feel the need to prove anything. God says, rest in who you are becoming. Your worth is not tied to productivity, performance, or perfection. This understanding will free you from burnout and allow you to move with sustainable energy. As you continue walking forward, you will realize that your definition of rich has completely changed. Rich is waking up without dread. Rich is having options instead of obligations. Rich is knowing you can walk away from what compromises your values. Rich is having peace in your decisions and confidence in your direction. God says this kind of wealth attracts provision naturally. There will be times when you look at your life and marvel at how things align without force. God says this is what happens when you stop fighting and start trusting. Resistance drains energy, surrender multiplies it. You are learning how to flow with what I am doing instead of trying to control every outcome. You will sense a deep assurance settling in your spirit, a quiet knowing that no matter what comes, you will be okay. This is not arrogance, this is faith matured through experience. God says you have seen too much, survived too much, and learned too much to doubt my faithfulness now. As the days continue, you will find yourself less reactive and more responsive. Challenges will no longer send you into panic. You will pause, assess, and move with intention. This emotional maturity is a form of wealth that protects everything else you are building. God says your confidence will not be loud, but it will be firm. You will not need to announce your plans or defend your progress. You will move quietly, steadily, knowing that what you are building does not require approval. This grounded confidence will attract the right opportunities at the right time. You may feel a deep desire to give God credit publicly for what is happening privately. Do not be ashamed of your faith. God says, honoring me in your success keeps your heart aligned and your spirit anchored. Gratitude expressed openly invites continued favor. As momentum builds, remember to rest. Rest is not a reward for finishing. It is a requirement for sustaining. God says, do not return to old patterns of overworking to feel worthy. You are valuable even when you pause. Trust that what is meant for you will not disappear if you take time to breathe. You will begin to see how every part of your journey connects, how nothing was random, how everything served a purpose. God says clarity comes with distance. What once confused you will now make sense. What once hurt you will now strengthen you. And as you continue forward, step by step, day by day, you will carry an inner knowing that you are walking in something sacred, something intentional, something divinely orchestrated. And with each new morning, you will continue to wake up into greater awareness, deeper trust, and expanding capacity, recognizing that this season is not a peak but a foundation, not an ending but a continuation, not a moment but a movement. And as the journey unfolds further, you will remain attentive, grounded, and ready, understanding that what is still ahead will build upon what has already begun. And the richness you are experiencing now is only the beginning of what will continue to reveal itself as you keep moving forward in alignment, obedience, and faith. And God says, even as you move deeper into this unfolding season, there will be moments when you pause in the middle of an ordinary day and realize that something inside you has settled. The restlessness that once drove you, the constant need to hurry, to catch up, to prove yourself will no longer dictate your pace. You will notice that you are no longer racing against time because you trust timing. You will no longer feel pressured to respond to everything because discernment has taught you what deserves your attention and what does not. This inner stability is not accidental. It is the result of years where uncertainty trained you to lean on faith instead of control. God says you will begin to recognize how much strength you carry without even trying. Situations that once would have overwhelmed you will now feel manageable. Not because the situations are smaller, but because you are stronger. You have learned how to breathe through discomfort, how to listen before reacting, how to stand firm without becoming rigid. This quiet strength will surprise even you. You will look back at who you used to be and realize how far you have come, not just in circumstances, but in character. There will be a shift in how you view challenges. You will no longer see them as interruptions, but as instructions. God says every obstacle still has a purpose, but now it no longer has the power to intimidate you. You have learned that resistance often signals relevance, that pressure often precedes expansion. Instead of asking why something is happening, you will begin asking what it is teaching you. This change in perspective is part of the wealth you are waking up to. God says your patience is about to pay off in ways you did not anticipate. You waited when walking away would have been easier. You stayed committed when results were slow. You trusted even when your emotions told you otherwise. That patience refined your character and sharpened your discernment. Now, when opportunity comes, you will recognize it without hesitation because you are no longer desperate, you are prepared. You will notice that your prayers become more intentional. You will no longer pray from a place of panic, but from a place of alignment. Instead of asking God to fix everything, you will ask for wisdom to steward what is being placed in your hands. This shift signals maturity. God says when your prayers change, your posture changes, and when your posture changes, your life follows. There will be moments when you feel a deep sense of awe, realizing that the life you once dreamed about quietly is now becoming familiar, not because it lost its value, but because you have grown into it. God says this is what happens when vision meets obedience over time. What once felt impossible now feels sustainable because you are not carrying it alone. God says guard against the temptation to look back with regret. There is nothing behind you that compares to what is ahead. The past served its purpose, but it no longer defines your direction. You are allowed to move forward without dragging old disappointments with you. Release them fully. They taught you what you needed to know, and now it is time to walk lighter. You may begin to feel a sense of responsibility to use your voice to speak life into others who are still waiting for their breakthrough. God says, do not underestimate the power of your words. What you have survived gives your voice authority. What you have learned gives your words weight. Speak with humility, but do not shrink your truth. As your influence grows, God says stay rooted in authenticity. You do not need to become someone else to maintain what you are building. The very thing that once made you feel different is what makes you effective. Your story, your journey, your perspective are all part of the assignment. Stay true to who you are, and you will continue to attract what aligns. There will be seasons when things move quickly, when momentum feels strong and progress feels visible. There will also be moments when things slow down again. God says, do not panic in the quiet. Growth does not always announce itself. Sometimes it consolidates, strengthens, and stabilizes beneath the surface. Trust that even when it feels still, something is still happening. You will begin to value quality over quantity in every area of your life. Fewer distractions, fewer draining commitments, fewer unnecessary conversations. God says simplicity will become a form of wealth for you. A clear mind, a focused heart, and a disciplined life will protect everything you are building. God says there will be times when people misunderstand your boundaries. They may call you distant, changed, or unavailable, but you know the truth. You are not distant. You are disciplined. You are not changed in a negative way. You are transformed. You are not unavailable. You are intentional. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is stewardship. As you continue to wake up into this new reality, you will feel a growing sense of confidence in your ability to navigate uncertainty. You no longer need guarantees to move forward. Faith has taught you how to take the next step without seeing the entire path. God says this kind of courage will open doors that certainty never could. You will begin to experience moments of joy that are simple yet profound. Laughter without tension, rest without guilt, progress without pressure. These moments will remind you that abundance is not always loud. Sometimes it whispers through contentment, presence, and gratitude. God says you will become more comfortable being alone, not because you are isolated, but because you are complete. Solitude will no longer feel like loneliness, but like restoration. In these quiet moments, clarity will deepen, vision will sharpen, and peace will renew your strength. There will be days when you reflect on how much you used to worry about things that no longer matter. You will smile at how far your perspective has shifted. God says growth often looks like caring less about what once controlled you and caring more about what truly aligns with your purpose. You may notice that your tolerance for negativity decreases. Conversations rooted in fear, gossip, or limitation will no longer hold your attention. God says this is discernment at work. You are not becoming judgmental, you are becoming selective. What you allow into your mind shapes what you build with your life. As opportunities continue to present themselves, you will move with a calm confidence that surprises others. They will wonder how you stay so grounded. God says it is because your foundation is secure. You are not building on trends, approval, or impulse. You are building on obedience, wisdom, and trust. There will be moments when you feel stretched emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. God says, remember that stretching is a sign of growth, not failure. Muscles stretch before they strengthen. Capacity expands before it stabilizes. Do not retreat when things feel demanding. Adjust, breathe, and keep moving forward. You will also learn how to celebrate without excess, how to enjoy without losing focus. God says balance will become one of your greatest assets. You will know when to push and when to pause, when to invest and when to rest. This rhythm will sustain you long term. God says you are entering a phase where your intuition becomes sharper. You will sense alignment and misalignment quickly. Trust this awareness. It is the result of time spent listening, waiting, and obeying. This sensitivity will protect you from unnecessary detours. As you continue forward, your faith will feel less fragile and more rooted. You will not be shaken by every challenge or distracted by every opportunity. God says stability is the reward of consistency. You showed up when it mattered, and now you can stand firm when things shift. You may feel a renewed desire to express gratitude more often. Gratitude will no longer be something you practice only when things go well. It will become a lifestyle. God says gratitude keeps your heart aligned with abundance and your mind focused on provision instead of lack. There will be moments when you look at your life and realize that the miracle was not just the breakthrough, but the person you became along the way. God says transformation is the true reward. Everything else is an extension of that inner work. As you continue to wake up each day into this evolving season, you will remain aware that this journey is ongoing. There is always more to learn, more to grow into, more to steward. God says, stay open, stay humble, and stay present. The richness you are experiencing will continue to deepen as long as you remain aligned. And so you keep moving forward, not rushed, not hesitant, but steady and intentional, carrying with you the lessons of the past, the clarity of the present, and the hope of what is still unfolding, knowing that each new day builds upon the last. Each choice strengthens your foundation, and each step taken in faith continues to shape the path ahead. As this season keeps expanding, revealing more depth, more purpose, and more understanding, inviting you to walk further into what has already begun. So as you stand at the edge of this unfolding promise, understand that this is not hype, fantasy, or emotional escape, but a sacred transition where preparation finally meets permission. What God has been forming in you through silence, delay, resistance, and endurance is now ready to be revealed in clarity, confidence, and increase. You are not stepping into luck, you are stepping into alignment. You are not arriving empty-handed, you are arriving refined, equipped, and ready. The richness God spoke over 2026 is not fragile, temporary, or borrowed. It is rooted, sustained, and purposeful. You will walk forward with discernment instead of desperation, authority instead of anxiety, and gratitude instead of fear. And when you wake up and realize that peace has replaced pressure, clarity has replaced confusion, and provision has replaced panic, you will know without question that this was never about money alone, but about becoming the kind of person who could carry the blessing without losing the soul, steward the increase without forgetting the source, and walk boldly into the future, knowing that what God has begun in you, He is faithful to complete.